Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special episode of Bahrain Now, marking the 45th anniversary of the Bahraini-Korean relations. In this episode, we'll be highlighting the collaborations between the two countries. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're gonna start the episode with a special interview that we have done with His Excellency, the Ambassador of Korea to Bahrain, Mr. Hae Kwon-chung. And all that taking place in a few moments only, as he's gonna elaborate the deep-rooted relations between Bahrain and Korea. Let's watch for more.
This year marks 45th anniversary of Korea-Bahrain diplomatic ties. Since 1976, our two countries maintained very strong and long-standing relationships. Our both countries played a significant role to each other in the region. And to Korea, Bahrain has been very important gateway to the Middle East region. One significant fact is Korean Air's first direct flight to Middle East region was to Bahrain. In 1970s, 80s, most of the Koreans who came to the Middle East region to work, they first came to Bahrain and then introduced to the region and they went to their final destination. Even they went back to Korea, they took the same route. They came to Bahrain and then buy some presents for families and also took some rest, and then they went back to Korea. So we have very good memories of personal exchanges since our diplomatic relationship. And on the economic sectors, in the early stage, we had a very important technical cooperation in the infrastructure and the energy sectors, include like Baco project or DASRUM or the National Theater or National Museum. Well, recently we are observing our cooperation, technical cooperation is expanding to IT, environment, health areas too. While Korea and Bahrain's economic policy has different aspects, like Bahrain's Vision 2030 and Korea's Green and Digital New Deal. But I would like to stress we have common factors to share in our economic policies. They are technology and innovation. These two factors worldwide believed to be the kind of a catalyst and also engine for the overall economic growth and creating national wealth. Well, in these areas, I think Korea and Bahrain have big potentials to cooperate each other. Korea has been highly evaluated as the innovative country. For example, in 2019, Bloomberg evaluated Korea world #1 in Global Innovation Index. And Bahrain has been long representing openness and diversity in the Middle East region, and also I observed Bahrain people are one of the most innovative people. In this context, I believe sharing Korean K-innovation documentaries with the Bahrain people is very meaningful. I believe this one can promote our common understanding about K-innovation and also promote our mutual cooperation. I hoped this K-innovation documentary could be a catalyst for our future cooperation in the innovation and technology sectors and overall our prospering relationship. Thank you.
Marking the 45th anniversary of the Bahraini-Korean relations, we are here right now at the Cultural Hall for the festive event of DASRUM, Stay Strong, is going to be a musical performance by a Korean band using Korean traditional music instruments. And of course, in this beautiful interview, a cultural interview, we're going to be joined by the leader of DASRUM. We're going to be with Miss Chung Lim Kim and the translator, Ji Sang-kwak. Well, 안녕. Tell us about your band and when did you start playing together?
그 밴드에 대해서 소개를 해주시고 언제부터 연주를 같이 하기 시작했는지 말씀해 주시죠.
다스름은 1990년도에 창단되어서요. 이제 여성 연주자들만 이루어진 팀으로 이제 처음 구성을 했습니다.
So DASRUM was founded in 1990 as an all-female group.
네, 그래서 올해로 한 31주년을 맞게 된 팀이고요.
So this year marks their 31st year of playing together.
네, 다스름이라는 이름의 그 뜻은 이제 한국 전통 음악에서 이제 한 곡을 연주하기 전에 이제 인트로처럼 연주를 하는 음악을 일컫는 말입니다.
So the word DASRUM comes from in Korea there's a piece that you play before the main show and that's what DASRUM means.
영어로는 튜닝의 개념일 수 있겠네요.
In English it can be similar to tuning.
그래서 이제 연주자들과 이제 함께 멋진 음악을 만들어 보자 하는 의미에서 만들어진 팀입니다.
So the band decided on this name in hopes to make wonderful music together.
So, what inspires your musical pieces?
그 작곡이나 곡을 준비할 때 어디에서 아이디어를 얻으시는지.
팀에서 이제 제가 전체적인 작곡과 편곡을 맡고 있는데요.
She prepares the music pieces for DASRUM.
네, 그래서 이 전체적인 한국 국악기는 이제 독주의 목적으로 만들어진 악기여서 이제 독주 악기로 많이 사용이 되고 있습니다. 그렇다 보니 그 악기들로 이제 다 같이 합주를 하기는 좀 쉬운 일은 아닌데요. 이제 그런 부분을 감안을 해서 이제 편곡을 할 때, 작곡을 할 때 각 악기의 개성과 그 두드러지는 주법을 좀 보여주기 위해 노력하고 있습니다.
So Korean traditional instruments are normally played solo. So to put them all together in one musical ensemble is a bit hard. So they try to make pieces where one instrument plays the most important role and the other instruments work as more of a supporting background instruments. But they try their best to mix all these instruments together to make a wonderful sounding piece.
So, tell us more about the process behind putting together the musical pieces you're playing.
연주하시는 곡을 작곡하실 때 어떤 과정을 통해서 그 곡들이 나오는지 좀 구체적으로 설명을 해달라고 했습니다.
네, 앞서 말씀드렸듯이 한국의 전통 국악기들은 독주 목적이었기 때문에 합주하는데 어려움이 있지만 이제 최근에 이제 많은 대중들과 보다 많은 세계인들과 소통하고 친근하게 다가가기 위해서 이제 신디사이저라는 악기를 함께 사용하면서 이제 보다 전통 음악에서 저희가 주제를 얻어서 사용하여 많이 음악을 만들고 있습니다.
As she said before, Korean traditional instruments work better on their own. However, they are trying to cover or retranslate the Korean traditional music into a version that is more friendly for the general public to understand.
So, for an interesting question right now, how do you see the merge between two countries and cultures in music?
그 두 문화 사이에서 어떻게 합쳐서 한 곡이 나오는지 여쭤보세요.
한국과 바레인은 굉장히 문화적으로도 그렇고 환경적으로도 다른데요. 다스름은 앞서 이미 세계 여러 나라를 공연을 다니면서 많은 다양한 문화를 접하고 또 그들의 음악을 함께 느껴왔습니다.
Korea and Bahrain are quite different to each other in terms of culture and society, but DASRUM has traveled across many countries performing for different cultures. So
그래서 이번에 바레인의 오드라는 악기를 만나게 되었는데요. 오드는 사실 그 레바논에서 오드 연주자와 한번 협업한 적이 있어서 그래도 익숙한 악기였습니다. 하지만 또 바레인의 음악은 또 다르기 때문에 이제 아직 낯선 것이 사실이긴 하지만 그래도 이제 새로운 시도와 경험이기 때문에 굉장히 기대가 되고 신선합니다.
So the Bahraini traditional instrument oud, am I saying it right? Oud. It's not actually their first time playing with oud. They first encountered this musical instrument in Lebanon. So they're familiar with oud, but however, they're not really familiar with Bahraini music. Therefore, that's something that they're doing for the first time, and they're very excited to play Bahraini music in Bahrain.
So, how do you value the relationship between Korea and Bahrain in the music field?
음악 분야에서 바레인이랑 한국의 관계를 어느 정도 값어치가 있다고 생각하시는지.
전 세계적으로도 그렇고 사실 이제 한국의 대중문화, 드라마나 한국의 드라마 혹은 이제 K-pop 같은 대중문화가 이제 많은 분들에게 익숙하시고 인기가 많다고 이제 알고 있습니다. 이제 그러면 이제 한국의 전통 음악을 들어보시고 만나보실 시간이라고 생각이 되는데요. 이것을 계기로 좀 더 바레인과 한국이 이제 깊고 진중한 그런 관계를 이어갔으면 좋겠습니다.
She's aware that in Bahrain already there's a popular interest in K-pop, Korean dramas and Korean movies and even Korean food. But she hopes that through this musical concert, Bahraini people and other people can experience Korean traditional music, and so that the relationship between Bahrain and Korea can become deeper and more connected.
Well, they are going to love it. Believe me, it's going to
되게
happen.
좋아하실 것 같다고.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much and 감사합니다. Looking forward to your performance. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's tune in. It's going to be a beautiful performance coming up right now. And ladies and gentlemen, right now we're going to have a talk with the mastermind behind the synergy of music and art right here in the festival. With us here today is Dr. Hassan Nahjeri. Well, Dr. Hassan, good evening.
Well, this is I received an invitation from the Korean embassy to see if I'd be interested in playing with this ensemble, DASRUM, and so for me it's nice, and you know, Korean traditional music is part of my education, and so I'm thrilled to be part of this project, and I'm happy that I suggested some Bahraini melodies to add to the concert tonight.
Oh man, that was a beautiful touch. You've always been the creative person, you know, bring things, you know, pretty much together, and you connect the dots very beautifully. You've been always known for that.
Yeah, well, it's just lucky with my where I am, you know, with the people. But I'm really happy that they're receptive to this, and so this wasn't just my idea; it was more of a conversation we had. So it's fun. It's good.
Now that is great, and not only that, you have a PhD degree in music and arts in Korea. Tell us more about that.
Back in 2012, I was invited for a short, what's called like a music residency, which means I'm there as a visiting researcher in music, and I specifically wanted to study Korean traditional music for 6 months.
6 months.
And the plan was to stay for 6 months, and I was at the Korean National University of Arts as part of this program called the Cultural Partnership Initiative.
Okay.
And I studied with a Korean composer named Im Jun-hee, and I was introduced to this history of traditional music, especially contemporary Korean traditional music. And I started writing for Korean traditional instruments, and I really liked the process of composing for their instruments. And by the end of the 6 months, I was writing pieces, and they were performing it. And so, you know, I was asked, you know, why don't you stay in Korea and continue your studies? And I said, almost as a joke, like, if there's a scholarship, if there's a chance to study, I will do it. And they said, sure, you know. So I managed to enter the doctoral program at Seoul National University, and I studied composition, and I specifically focused on the Korean music department. But yeah, but my studies involved contemporary music, electronic music, and Korean music.
Wow, from a joke to reality.
Yeah.
I can only imagine you like telling your family, 6 months, no, actually 6 years.
6 years.
You know, did I say months? It was actually years.
Yeah, that's basically that's what it sounded like. Yeah.
So 6 years in Korea, how was it?
I mean, it was great. It was a life lesson, you know, like when you study abroad and when you live abroad. It's not just what you learn in the classroom, but it's also the people you meet, the places you go, the things you do. So you know, it's one of those things that I'll always carry with me. And I mean, there's no way I could summarize 6 years in a short interview.
In 6 minutes.
But I met incredible people, and I'm
Amazing.
really happy that I had this experience. Yeah.
Now, that's beautiful. I can only ask right now, what is the future like for you?
Well, you know, the past couple of years have been really difficult with the
Right,
pandemic. So
right.
as musicians and as artists, we depend on performing, on traveling, on meeting
Right.
people. And so with the pandemic, it's been a little bit difficult. But, you know, I did a few projects online. I learned a lot of things. And recently I had a project in France and another one in Germany. And next month again, I'm doing another project in France. And so
Wow.
I feel like slowly things are picking up again.
Okay.
Yeah, I just hope that people stay healthy, and yeah, for me, yeah, people's health and safety is what matters the most. But
Right.
if that's, you know, available, then I'm happy to jump back into the music and
Oh, wow.
and do that.
Well,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
sir, yes, sir, that's for sure. You know, on the show, we sometimes ask certain people this random question. And, you know, because you've done a lot and you're about to do even more in the future. I can see that happening.
I hope so.
So let's see right now, and let's say that somebody right now is hearing this and be like, oh, wait, you know what? I'm going to give him 1 million Bahraini dinars for a project. What you going to do with that kind of
You
money?
know, wow, that's a really difficult question. But,
Okay.
But I think, you know, I think what matters the most to me is kind of supporting the local community.
Wow.
So I think, you know, it's nice to have 1 million dinars, but it wouldn't be like a personal thing. It would probably be something that supports, I think, the local kind of cultural industry, cultural community in a way. So, you know, for example, while we were rehearsing with this ensemble, I was wondering, why aren't there any women musicians in Bahrain who are also on stage
Right.
playing? Why me?
Right.
And this isn't a female ensemble, and
Right.
so I would have loved to see a female Bahraini musician on stage, or I would love to see more support for that. And so those are the things that I hope to see, you know. And I think Those are the things that matter right now.
So 45 years anniversary, the Bahraini-Korean relations, beautiful things happening here. So what does that mean to you from a musical perspective?
For me, my relationship with Korea is mostly cultural, and so I'm interested in this cultural exchange, and through cultural exchange and through working with, culturally, whether it's music or art or cinema or whatever art form it is, I think these kinds of connections bring people together. And, again, like I lived 6 years of my life in Korea, and I feel like it'll always be part of me. And so I always feel happy whenever I think there's a chance for some kind of, people coming together and celebrating culture and connections. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Korea's home for you right now, definitely.
It was one of my homes, yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Well, any last words, things you want to tell to your viewers?
I just hope people come and enjoy the concert, and I just want to thank the Korean Embassy, of course the ensemble for making this possible, and for the audience for coming, and I hope everybody just has fun.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Can't wait to see your performance. Let's go. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for another masterpiece by DASRUM, marking this anniversary. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of this amazing and special episode of Bahrain Now. Of course, we would like to reveal our sincerest gratitude to the Embassy of Korea to Bahrain. And don't forget to check us out on our social media accounts shown below. Till next time, Bahrain, goodbye and God bless.